pit exit, 1 minute.
Switch the fuel on, switch the pump on.
Mount Panorama, first constructed as a public road in 1938. Jason Bargwanna's with me, former Bathurst champ and Formula V graduate.
Absolutely, Aaron, and one of the most exciting racetracks in the country. There is no doubt that the combination of the up and the downhill, the stuff across the top of the mountain and Conrod Straight, it is exhilarating stuff around here at Mount Panorama.
And again, the V's have turned up in numbers. Ben Porter, who won here last year, will start from pole in the Checkmate chassis. Stephen Butcher alongside on the front row, and Nicholas Jones will carry our in-car camera.
Look, there is more Formula Vs here than you've ever seen. It's amazing. It's such a popular category, an entry-level category, which, yes, I do agree. I did start my racing career in Formula V, and I really enjoyed it.
The key to this category is that all of the componentry for these cars comes from the VW.
Correct, and back in the day when I was racing, a good engine had 36 horsepower, a bad one had 35. So they've obviously moved on from the 1200 horsepower engine. They're up to the 1600 now. Disc brakes, a little bit different in the chassis, a lot more power for these guys to play with, but still a very basic category that it's all about the driving and setting the car up.
Ben Porter will lead us away, the reigning champ in car number 1. But Stephen Butcher from the outside of the front row of the grid, behind the wheel of the Stinger chassis and a range of different types of cars in this field.
Well, that's right. Stephen Butcher's Stinger chassis is a chassis he's designed and built himself. There's a number of them in the field, and it's a very competitive car. I used to race against Stephen back in the day. We used to bang wheels in Formula V, but he's gone from strength to strength and has produced national winning championship cars.
And this is the same category that's produced a range of top-line V8 supercar drivers. Ben Porter, though, straight back to the lead. Slipstreaming up the mountain and down Conrod Straight is critical.
Absolutely, and Ben Porter was very, very competitive here last year in the Formula V races at Bathurst. He came away with a trophy and is with number 1 on the car. He's gone straight to the lead again. But it's not all about leading the first lap in Formula V. It's about setting yourself up to lead the last one, and that's where the real battle and challenge is.
As you mentioned, a change with this category in terms of its engines. They now run in the outright class the 1.6 litre engine, the traditional 1.2 litre engine also in the pack. But have a look at this field, and across the top of the mountain it's very tightly placed.
Well, you might as well get a bit of lead and stick it on the accelerator, because she's flat across the top here of the mountain. You can see there just from the nice smooth action on the steering wheel. This is what it's all about. You need to have that flow, that rhythm, and position yourself in the on the road so you can get good exit speed, maintain the corner speed, and that's how you're competitive in Formula V.
Dropping off the top of the mountain, Michael Kinsella in the 35 Jason there. Great job too. Nicholas Jones in third with our camera is really keeping in touch with these leaders.
Absolutely, and Aaron, the good thing about this is the entry-level category in Australia. It is very competitive. It's a great stepping stone for young drivers coming out of go-karts, or for older drivers wanting to race and be competitive, because whilst you stand here and watch these Formula Vs, 1600cc engine, you think these things aren't that fast. Their lap times around here at Bathurst are extremely competitive. As you can see, Stephen Butcher pulls out from the toe, and that's what it's all about in Formula V, is put yourself in a position where you can, really benefit from the toe.
As a young chap, I remember a Formula Ford race here where a certain Jay Bargwanna deliberately gave the lead away at the top of the mountain to get it back down Conrod. Pretty much the same strategy here. Absolutely,
and I was fortunate enough to bring the trophy home that weekend, and I tell you, those skills were learnt in this category here. It teaches you all about racecraft, it teaches you about how to maximise your position on the track, how to actually think about what you're doing out in the racetrack, not just drive flat out all the time. And you are limited with the power you've got, the grip you've got. The cars are all very similar, they're built to the same rules, 495 kilos with the driver on board, so it's very competitive and close racing. You can see from the action at the steering wheel, 1 gear change, down to 3rd gear, back on the gas pedal again, and pull yourself up the hill. But it is about that, thinking about what you're doing in the race car.
Very narrow treaded tyre as well for the drivers to use, and you can see here again Ben Porter maximising the slipstream, and Nicholas Jones getting a tow from both of the cars.
Absolutely. Sometimes the best tow you can get is from about 5 back, and there's a lot of days where we're back in the day with Bernie Henley and Frank Kleining at Amaroo Raceway. These guys are sort of keeping that tradition alive with that close action of Formula V racing, and I often stand there and watch it on the fence. I love it. I reckon it's great racing.
Formula V very, very strong too in New South Wales. That's its real heartland.
It is, and it's the 1600 category was introduced in New South Wales a couple of years ago now, and there's a little bit of contact there. That's not what you want to do in Formula V racing, but it's that 1600 category is now spread around the country, and we see cars popping up out of everywhere, and you can see more of this toe action. There's nothing worse than leading as you come onto the straight, because you know by the end you're going to go back 4 spots.
Nicholas Jones ran out of friends there. They all towed with one another, so he drops back, and Ben Porter again has been let off the hook.
He's very competitive in that checkmate car. It's obviously, they've got the whole package working well, they've got the engine working well. He might have about half a horsepower more than the other guys, and that's enough. As you can see them using all the road, but this battle will continue for the whole race. I mean, there's no real way. It's very difficult to get a breakaway in Formula V, but it's exhilarating racing.
And that's Gary Ogden in the number 71 car. That's the Mako chassis. And even though the rules are pretty tightly controlled, there is still the elements for some different stylings in terms of the cars, very distinct in their design.
Absolutely, the chassis is free in terms of its design, providing obviously it fits within the rules, and you can see a bit more action here. Pull it up to 4th gear and just hold your foot flat, and now you're just about positioning yourself. But there's a few different ideas on the chassis design in the category, but it comes back to that engine, gearbox, brakes, wheels, tyres, they're all the same, the weight's the same, so it really is a good education for drivers. There's 4 wides, not the place you want to be here, boys.
I thought Nicholas Jones was going to use the driveway there on the way up Mountain Straight.
Look, it even comes down to Aaron. It's getting the right sort of wheel bearing fluid in the cars. I mean, they adjust the wheel bearings to the point where they make the thing roll beautifully down a slight hill. They go to every nth degree to make these cars competitive, because when you've got such limited power, you have to look at every aspect of the race car, and that's why driving is so smooth, and you learn so much about driving one of these cars.
Matthew Pearce there in the green number 37 car. That's one of the Jason chassis, and they've been a very, very popular car over the years.
They have. Jason and David Cutts designed that car. I used to race against Jason and David back in the day, and they've designed that Jason chassis, and they've really gone from strength to strength. It's a chassis that's won the national championship, and it's obviously evolved now into the 1600 car. So the Cuttses have been around Formula V racing for a long time. You wouldn't go far away from having a competitive car by talking to those guys.
The drop off the mountain. A brake lock up there. Jones was lucky. Reacted well.
You can see the loss of momentum there. He's had to be on the brake for that fraction longer, and it's cost him, but he'll be in a position to get the good toe now down the chute.
And we're talking around 200 kilometres per hour down Conrod Straight in one of these cars, lapping around the 2-minute 44-second bracket, which for such a little car with a small engine, that's a great lap time.
It is. It's a very competitive lap time, and to consider that this is an entry-level category, as you can see, that they're going 3 wide, and Jones has got the good run, but he doesn't know where to take it. But for entry-level category, it's cost-effective. It's cheap in terms of what motorsport's all about. I mean, obviously, it's still expensive to go motor racing, but relative to other categories, this is a great way to start.
At the core of it too, if you're looking at that racing, fun is probably the other word that springs to mind.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's not how you go through the dipper, and unfortunately that's put 3 cars out by the looks of that one.
This race will finish behind the Supercar Club Lamborghini safety car, so Ben Porter picks up his first race win this year at Mount Panorama, and he really was the dominant driver, so just desserts for the New South Welshman. Stephen Butcher from Gary Ogden, Andrew McLaughlin and Matthew Pearce, they rounded out the top 6. Nicholas Jones in 7th. Aaron Russell, the younger brother of Fujitsu V8 regular Drew, he finished back in 11th.